When the grid goes down, you don't have time to panic. You've got 60 minutes before modern life unravels. In that first hour, the U.S. Department of Energy estimates 95% of communications, 70% of water utilities, and nearly every fuel pump in the country stop functioning. The clock starts the second your lights die. Food safety collapses in 4 hours, water pressure in 12, and according to FEMA, over 80% of Americans have less than 3 days of supplies. That means in a full-scale blackout, most people will run out of critical resources before the second sunrise. And here's the kicker. Power grids are failing more often than ever. Over 387 major outages hit the U.S. in 2023, a 112% increase from a decade ago. Every year, storms, cyber attacks, and aging transformers push our infrastructure closer to failure. When it happens again, and it will, you won't get a warning, just silence, heat, and fear. So let's strip away the fantasy that someone's coming to fix it fast. They're not. The only question that matters is what you'll do in the first 60 minutes, because after that, you're not in the 21st century anymore. You're in survival mode. 10. The grid just failed. You've got 60 minutes to act. Food spoilage isn't waiting for you. Let's be blunt. When the grid collapses, your fridge becomes a ticking time bomb, and you're on the clock. In that first hour, the cold chain breaks, bacteria multiply, and hunger quickly turns into desperation. You need to move fast. Start by identifying the absolute worst liability items: seafood, dairy, deli meats, soft cheeses. These collapse first. Cook or cool them immediately, but do not stop at the obvious. Most people forget about leftovers, condiments, open jars, cut fruit. These are weakness points. Get them grouped, sealed, or cooked down. And while you're doing that, open every food-safe insulated container, cooler, or gel pack you own, and state shift everything you can into the coldest zone. Freezer, bottom shelf, tightly packed so cold air can't escape. Here's a twist few people anticipate. As your frozen goods begin to thaw, they release meltwater that dilutes your temperature. That liquid needs diversion. Place trays or absorbents underneath so you don't degrade the insulation or ruin other goods. According to thermal studies, a fully packed freezer retains sub-40 degree temperatures nearly twice as long as a half-empty one, meaning the difference between food survival and mass spoilage. But wait! Don't just rely on cold. You must flip raw into cooked immediately. Use a small propane or butane burner, ovenless stovetop, solar cooker, even communal cooking with neighbors, if secure. Cooked protein resists bacterial growth longer than raw. And here's the secret many overlook. Once you have cooked, salted, dried, or smoked foods, they can last at borderline room temperature for far longer than raw. For instance, properly smoked, fish or jerky can bridge you through 24-48 hours safely when refrigeration fails. Finally, manage scent, smoke, and visibility. You do not want your cooking operations broadcasting your stockpile to an unpredictable crowd. Cook in low venting zones, funnel smoke discreetly. Blackout windows, mask odors. Blend cooking orders to minimize exposure. In short, that first hour isn't just about opening your freezer and hoping, it's about aggressively converting perishables, crowding cold zones, diverting meltwater, cooking smart, and hiding your advantage. Do that, and you climb out of chaos. Fail, and spoilage becomes your silent assassin. 9. Within 60 minutes, water pressure sinks, and you're running dry. You think there's time? You don't. Municipal systems are mechanical beasts dependent on electric pumps, boosters, chlorination stations, all of which collapse alongside the grid. Pressure drops cascade faster than most people imagine. In many systems, within the first 60 minutes, certain zones already lose adequate flow to top floors. Within 2-3 hours, lower pressure dead zones form. By 18-24 hours, many taps sputter, then stop. Your mission in Minute 1 through Minute 60 is to lock down every water source while pressure still flows. Don't wait for maybe later. Run every faucet, hot and cold, fill bathtubs, buckets, sinks, washing machine drums, large food-grade bins. A standard tub holds 8,100 gallons. That's your buffer. But don't just collect water, manage its quality. Cover or seal containers immediately. Drop in unscented bleach or purification drops as soon as filled to inhibit microbial growth. Within 24-48 hours, open containers become breeding pools for bacteria, algae, mosquitoes, particularly in warmer climates. So close covers, label container ages, keep debris and insects out. But pure volume isn't enough. You need redundancy. Inside your stockpile, keep water bladders, jerry cans, collapsible containers, and inline filters ready. A few liters of purified water don't cut it. In many failed grid events, e.g. post-ice storm outages in Quebec or Puerto Rico's months without reliable service, many people ignored filtration until it was too late. Even when pressure remained, quality deteriorated because treatment plants lost power. So run every tap while you can, push water through your backup filters, and divide that into smaller, manageable containers so you're never carrying one huge jug during crisis. Also, locate alternate sources. Rain harvesting, roof runoff, nearby springs or streams, but don't assume you'll have time later. Even if you can't access them immediately, position hoses or gutters now while the light holds, and conceal your stockpiles. Because just as with food, the minute neighbors and strangers start smelling daily cooking or see water barrels in the yard, your stash becomes their target. Begin camouflage. Paint covers. Bury. Shallow. Keep lids locked or weighted. Water is the backbone of survival. Drinking, cooking, hygiene, medical use. Lose control of it because you waited until later, and you'll be scrambling for drops while others raid what you left exposed. Within that hour, you must collect, treat, divide, stash, and secure water, no hesitation, no second guessing. 8. Shelter and warmth become killers. You must seal your thermal bubble. Instantly. When your heating system dies, your home becomes an exposed shell. Cold doesn't creeps, it barges in. In the first 60 minutes following a grid failure, room temperatures will start sinking, especially at night when ambient drop accelerates. And science backs this. As your skin loses just a few degrees, shivering and hypothermia begin. You can't wait until midnight. So while you're collecting food and water, you simultaneously must shrink and fortify your thermal zone. Choose 1 or 2 rooms, ideally lowest in the house interior, few windows, and convert them into your survival bubble. Immediately close off all unused rooms, closets, hallways. Hang heavy drapes, moving blankets, or logs of furniture to create internal barriers. Add tarps or emergency thermal liners over windows. Magazines of insulation data show that a single pane of glass can leak 30-40% of indoor heat. Block that. As you seal, add body heat, bring beds, cushions, chairs, string blackout curtains, stuff under doors. Don't run fans or systems because they'll draw heat away. Next, deploy alternate heating systems, wood stoves, kerosene heaters, propane heaters, but only in ventilated, safe setups. 1 gallon of kerosene yields 135,000 BTUs. That's enough to warm a small room for hours. But here's something few think about. Stack thermal mass near heat sources. Place rocks, brick or ceramic pots near stoves to absorb and radiate heat slowly after the flame dies. Use water bottles warmed slowly inside your survival bubble to stabilize ambient temperature. Clothing layering is equally vital. Base layers should use wool, merino, synthetics, not cotton, which steals heat when damp. Every degree you preserve helps cognitive function, morale, reaction speed. Don't underestimate windows. Even curtained windows leak heat. Hang foil blankets or mylar beneath drapes to reflect interior heat back in. Now you must account for exhaust and ventilation. Every heat source demands fresh air. Install carbon monoxide detectors on battery or mechanical systems. 1 clogged vent or 1 failure kills. Many deaths and past blackouts have resulted from people running generators or heaters indoors without venting. And to avoid painting a target on yourself, manage light and smoke leaks. Don't leak light like a glow stick. Use directional lamps, blackout covers, muffled venting, hidden stovepipe chases. Your house should look dead from the street, not like a beacon. In those first 60 minutes, you must convert your space from a leaky shell to a contained, warm, safe bubble. Fail to do that, and the cold will overrun your body, your plans, your options. 7. Communication and signal. Silence kills faster than darkness. When the grid fails, the world doesn't just go dark, it goes silent. In many outages, cellular towers last only 24 hours on backup power. After that, your phone is a dead brick. No calls, no texts, no Raven alerts. Within that first hour, you have to lock in communication pathways before the silence closes in. First, grab your emergency radio gear, hand crank or solar-charged AM, FM, or new AA radios. You want real-time broadcasts, alerts, FEMA, or local command. Families in Puerto Rico during Maria depended solely on radios for logistical updates, resource drops, and threat warnings. Without them, they were wandering blind. But one-way reception isn't enough. You need two-way capability, FRS, GMRS, or even ham radio if licensed. You must be able to coordinate with others, family separated, neighbors, survival groups, supply runners. Walkie-talkies on pre-designated channels become your lifeline, but here's something few consider. Radio security. In panic, people broadcast indiscriminately. Supply runs, locations, strategies. That's a windfall for eavesdroppers or looters. Use coded channels or shorthand language. Don't broadcast, "I have 50 liters of water." Broadcast, "Location echo is intact for another hour." Simple code. Also maintain silent alternatives. Whistles, signal mirrors, flag tubes, LED strobes. These don't depend on electricity or frequencies. A mirror flash or whistle blast can reach farther than a shouted voice in chaos. In addition, define predetermined rendezvous points ahead of time and backup fallback locations. If your phone dies and radios fail, everyone should instinctively know where to meet. Coordinate via maps, notes, or memory. Don't rely on improvisation and panic. Another vector many overlook. Mesh network tools. Devices like GoTenna or Briar let you build ad hoc peer-to-peer network messaging when cell towers are down. Send text and GPS data across distances even in silence. Equip one or two of these beforehand. Time matters. In that first hour, you must get radios on, walkie pairs synced, channels coded, fallback meeting plans reaffirmed, and local mesh devices activated. Miss that window and you risk fragmentation. Family separated, resupply runs blind, no situational awareness. And the difference between surviving and getting lost in the darkness is communication clarity. The grid just failed. This is where silence kills. 5. Fuel, the forgotten lifeline that separates the surviving from the stranded. When the grid collapses, your lights aren't the only thing that dies. Your mobility, heat, and even cooking power vanish with it. Within an hour of a major blackout, gas stations become useless museums of steel and fumes. Every single pump in America relies on electric motors to draw fuel from underground tanks, and when the power's out, those pumps are dead weight. That's why, in the first 60 minutes, your fuel strategy becomes survival currency. A full gas tank is no longer transportation. It's heat, light, and backup power in liquid form. According to the U.S. Department of Energy, the average household generator burns through 1 to 2 gallons of fuel per hour under moderate load. That means your 5-gallon can barely buy you a night of power. So, within that first hour, your mission is simple. Lock down and diversify your fuel. Secure gasoline if you can, but think broader. Propane, butane, kerosene, wood, charcoal, every molecule of energy matters now. Propane cylinders can run camp stoves, heaters, and lanterns for weeks if rationed wisely. Kerosene, once dismissed as old-fashioned, remains one of the most energy-dense heating fuels available. 1 gallon delivers over 130,000 BTUs of heat, more than enough to keep a small room habitable overnight. But storage matters. Gasoline degrades within 3 to 6 months without stabilizers, while propane lasts indefinitely when stored properly. That means the pre-blackout window isn't about hoarding gallons, it's about maintaining rotation, topping off your car every week, keeping cans filled, labeled, and treated. When the grid falls, you'll need that fuel, not just for movement, but for cooking, boiling water, sterilizing tools, even signaling. Portable solar panels help, but under clouds or debris, they're inconsistent. Fossil fuel, for all its flaws, becomes the bridge to your next sunrise. The hidden danger most people miss? Carbon monoxide. Every single year, post-blackout deaths spike not from starvation, but from poisoning caused by improper generator use. During the Texas freeze of 2021, over 1,400 people were hospitalized for CO exposure in just 3 days. So if you're running anything that burns, generator, heater, stove, you must vent properly. Crack windows, set up exhaust tubes, or run systems outside with extension cords. And keep your generator grounded, covered, and camouflaged. The hum of an engine is like a dinner bell for the desperate. That noise will travel blocks in the quiet of a dead grid. Use sound barriers, plywood shields, earth mounds, blankets, anything to muffle that metallic whine. In a blackout, fuel equals power. Power equals control. Control equals survival. Don't wait until you're the one holding a useless gas can in the dark, wondering why the pump won't start. 4. Medicine and sanitation. Because the collapse always breeds disease. Before desperation. No one likes to talk about it, but the first real killer after a blackout isn't hunger, it's infection. Within 48 hours of grid failure, your home starts to degrade into a bacterial playground. Toilets back up because sewage pumps fail. Trash piles up because trucks don't roll. Water filtration systems shut down, and the warm, dark humidity turns your living space into a microbe factory. During the 2003 blackout, hospitals in Cleveland reported a 17% spike in gastrointestinal infections within 72 hours. And that was with power restored in under 3 days. So what happens when the lights don't come back? You must think like a field medic in those first 60 minutes. Inventory your medical supplies immediately. Bandages, antiseptics, antibiotics, painkillers, antihistamines, prescription meds. Everything gets accounted for, labeled, and stored in a cool, dry place. If you rely on refrigerated medication like insulin, move it to the coldest point in your freezer and insulate it with cold packs. Insulin lasts up to 28 days at room temperature. Not ideal, but enough to buy time. Sanitation follows medicine. The second your toilet stops flushing, you need a waste plan. Line toilets with heavy-duty contractor bags and a layer of kitty litter, sawdust, or baking soda to control odor and moisture. Seal tightly after each use. FEMA field reports from post-hurricane shelters show that poor waste management doubles infection rates within the first week. And here's something most preppers overlook. Water isn't just for drinking, it's for hygiene. The average person uses 2 gallons per day just for washing hands, face, and utensils. If you skip that, bacteria takes over fast. You need to ration hygiene water but never eliminate it. Use wet wipes, sanitizer, and rubbing alcohol when possible. When they're gone, create a gray water recycling system. Reuse lightly used water from cleaning dishes for flushing or floor washing. As power outages stretch, pest control becomes critical. Without waste collection, rats, flies, and roaches surge. In Puerto Rico, after Hurricane Maria, leptospirosis, a bacterial disease from rodent urine, sickened hundreds. You cannot let waste or standing water accumulate. Seal trash, burn waste if safe, and set traps. Medical preparedness also means triage knowledge. If someone gets burned, cut, or dehydrated, do you know how to treat it without power? Learn the basics. Clean wounds with boiled water and salt. Avoid sealing unclean injuries and ration antibiotics strictly. Not all infections need them. And finally, morale. Sickness destroys group cohesion faster than hunger. Keep your space clean, smells contained, and routines enforced. In a long-term blackout, health discipline is civilization's last wall. Let it fall, and no amount of supplies will save you. 3. Mobility and evacuation. because sometimes staying put becomes suicide. Let's kill the fantasy that you can just ride it out. The truth is, some grid failures turn into grid deaths. When backup systems fail, when heat waves or cold snaps hit, when riots start and infrastructure buckles, staying put becomes a coffin. In that first hour, you must decide whether to bunker or to bug out, and you won't get a second chance. Within 30 minutes of a blackout, highways jam, ATMs fail, and GPS signals may start degrading if communications infrastructure collapses. Gas stations lock their pumps and police presence thins. That's why your vehicle, your route, and your bug-out kit must be prepped before disaster, but executed within that hour. The Department of Transportation estimates that during major regional blackouts, fuel demand spikes 400% within 6 hours, meaning the roads will clog with the unprepared. So your escape window is razor thin. First, readiness. Your vehicle must always maintain at least half a tank of gas, not out of convenience, but survival. Keep spare fuel in stabilized containers and stored safely off-site or buried if possible. Check tires, fluids, and batteries weekly. Your trunk should hold a 72-hour go bag with water, shelf-stable food, first aid, blankets, a paper map, and a small toolkit. Digital navigation dies fast, and grid failure often takes traffic lights with it. Chaos at every intersection. You must drive defensively, silently, and with intent. But not all escapes require wheels. Bikes, scooters, or even a collapsible cart can move you faster than gridlocked vehicles in urban zones. And here's a fact few realize. If the power outage spans multiple states, electric vehicles become useless within 24 hours. No charging, no mobility. That shiny Tesla becomes a 2-ton paperweight. So diversify your mobility. Keep a bike rack. Learn foot routes that bypass major highways and bridges. Those will bottleneck instantly. If you decide to stay, then harden your perimeter for the long haul. But if you must leave, you leave immediately. Not tomorrow, not when it feels safer. In California's 2019 wildfire blackouts, people who waited even 20 minutes too long got trapped behind burning lines. The rule is simple. If the grid fails and you can't guarantee heat, water, or security for 72 hours, you go. And that means every minute counts. You're not evacuating in panic. You're executing a plan. Because when the grid collapses, hesitation kills faster than hunger, thirst, or cold. Move with purpose, or be buried with the ones who waited. 2. Information control. Because the real war, after the blackout, is for the truth. Once the grid dies, information becomes the most valuable and the most dangerous resource in the world. You think people panic when their phone battery hits 5%? Try watching that same panic spread across an entire city when everyone realizes that no one, anywhere, knows what's happening. Within 30 minutes of a nationwide blackout, misinformation floods every surviving signal channel. False emergency messages, fake evacuation orders, and deliberate disinformation campaigns can turn calm neighborhoods into chaos zones. During the 2022 Texas power crisis, social media exploded with rumors that grid sabotage had occurred, causing mass gas station runs and panic buying that crippled already strained infrastructure. That's why your first 60 minutes must include establishing what's real. Turn on your no-AAA emergency radio and tune to the primary channels, 162.400 to 162.550 MHz. Those frequencies are hardwired for continuity even in total grid collapse. But don't stop there. Build your own intel loop, pair with nearby households who have CB, GMRS, or ham radio gear. Trade short, factual updates only. No speculation, no rumors. In chaotic blackouts, bad intel is deadlier than no intel at all. Mark verified sources in a notebook, timestamp transmissions, and record critical updates. If you have access to analog tools, a map, a compass, a shortwave scanner, use them. Modern society's dependence on GPS means that once satellites falter, people lose all spatial orientation. Relearn how to navigate by compass and landmarks, and don't ignore human intelligence. Old-fashioned community watch networks, runners, or observers at key intersections can provide ground truth faster than any device. But here's the shadow most overlooked: information leakage. Every transmission you make, every light you show, every word you speak in panic is potential intelligence for someone else. In the Balkan blackouts of the 1990s, armed gangs used battery-powered scanners to triangulate radio chatter from civilians. Within hours, they were raiding the homes they'd overheard talking about supplies. Keep transmissions coded, brief, and directional. Never reveal quantities, names, or exact locations. Your mouth can betray your stockpile faster than a crowbar. Lastly, record events. Who came to your door, what noises you heard, what directions rumors spread. In prolonged outages, human memory degrades under stress. Your written notes could become the difference between falling for deception and seeing the pattern before it's too late. Information isn't just power in a blackout, it's protection, leverage, and foresight. Control it, or be consumed by it. 1. Security and human threats. Because the grid collapse turned civilization. Back 500 years in one night. Here's the truth almost no one wants to face. When the power fails long enough, the laws of civility evaporate. Not in weeks, not in days, sometimes in hours. The 1977 New York City blackout saw looting begin in under 25 minutes. During Hurricane Katrina, armed robberies spiked 280% within the first 24 hours of total grid failure. You think people are decent? They are. Until their kids are hungry, their insulin runs out, or they see you cooking by candlelight when their world is dark. Within one night, society fractures into two kinds of people: those who prepared and those who will take from them. Your first 60 minutes must include securing your perimeter and defining your rules of engagement. That means hard locks on every entry point, not flimsy privacy latches. Reinforced doors with wooden braces or metal bars. Window access points should be sealed with screws or blocked with furniture. The objective isn't to create a fortress, it's to buy time. Every second of delay is another chance to think, respond, or deter. Now look outward. Do your neighbors know you're ready? If so, decide quickly. Will you form an alliance or a defense pact? In Venezuela's rolling blackouts of 2019, block communities that organized early fared far better than solo households. But trust sparingly. Hunger changes people faster than alcohol. Keep your visible preparedness minimal. Don't advertise solar lights, smoke, or generator hums. Your advantage is invisibility. If you own firearms legally, stage them safely but accessibly. If you don't, reinforce melee options: metal pipes, pepper spray, heavy tools. A baseball bat in the right hands is deterrence enough when paired with resolve. The average home invasion lasts less than 90 seconds. Make those seconds your defense zone. But the most vital layer of security isn't hardware, it's psychology. You must shift from complacency to command. Panic kills faster than any intruder. Set a watch rotation if you have others with you. Keep every person accountable for a role. Watch, cook, rest, guard. Post clear communication orders. No shouting, no chaos. The darkness outside will test your sanity. You counter it with discipline. And remember this: predators, whether human or environmental, always hunt weakness. If your home looks alert, if lights move methodically, if your posture shows control, they will move on. In every historical collapse, from Argentina 2001 to modern Haiti, prepared households that projected readiness and unity were bypassed by looters looking for easier targets. The question isn't whether the danger will come, it's when. And by then, it's too late to wish you'd acted faster. When the grid fails, the lights don't just go out, they reveal exactly who's ready to survive the night and who's about to become someone else's lesson. When the grid dies, it's not the end of the world, but it is the end of your comfort zone. The first hour decides everything, whether you're in control or in chaos, fed or starving, warm or shivering in the dark. The data doesn't lie. Nearly 90% of people caught in major blackouts admit they weren't prepared, and most lose access to safe food and water within 24 hours. When power fails on a regional scale, the average restoration time isn't hours. It's 3.8 days, according to the Department of Energy. In extreme cases like Texas 2021 and Puerto Rico 2017, it's stretched into weeks. The grid isn't built for resilience. It's a fragile, aging web of 9,200 power plants and over 600,000 miles of high-voltage lines, many operating decades past design life. One cascading fault, one cyber attack, one heat wave, and the lights go out for millions. So this is your line in the sand. When the next outage hits, don't be the one fumbling for candles while your fridge dies and your neighbors panic. Be the one who acts with precision, locking down food, securing water, sealing heat, establishing comms, and defending your perimeter. Those 60 minutes are your test, and you only get one shot at it. The truth is simple. No one's coming to save you in time. Not the grid operators, not the government, not emergency services already drowning in calls. You are the backup plan now. The generator, the medic, the defense line, the leader. So ask yourself right now, before the hum of the lights becomes silence. When everything stops, will you freeze or will you move? Because when the grid fails, hesitation is extinction. Action is survival.